everybody. Q&A session. Where are we going, Tammy?
Gonna go have brunch.
We are at Flips. We like
and then
Flips.
we gotta make sure James's pants matches his black jacket.
We have a daughter getting married next
Friday.
Friday. Yeah. Got a big wedding coming up. Lots of fun.
Lots of company.
So I did a video, just released it here a little while ago on eclampsia. Susan Brocksmith said, I've always really liked Cal Plus or Cal Absorb. We're talking about getting calcium into a dog that's got milk fever. Yeah, great advice. And she says the word I was looking for, by the way, on the calcium that you take yourself for a stomach upset is Tums. I was thinking Rolaids. Rolaids is right, Tums is right too. Eric Maria says, so when the heating strips, you say put them under the help. What she's talking about here is she's talking about a heated whelping system. And she says, just to get to the gist of it, there's quite a bit here. She's talking about maybe crates that don't have floors in them and using pads, worried about fire, etc, etc. So I'm just going to give you a quick distinction here. So the first thing is, if you build your own box, or you have like one of the Dura whelps that has a fabric bottom to it, you can go buy a sheet of what's called coroplastic, a 4x8 sheet at Home Depot is like 20 bucks. You can cut up with a box knife and you can make a subfloor that you can stick the tape to. So that fixes that problem. The second thing is that whatever you do, you need to have a pig rail. So a pig rail is paramount to being successful at having mum not squashing babies. And the way this works is that we put the heat tape directly under the pig rail on that floor that you put down. Heat comes up through the floor only in that area. It doesn't heat mum up. Mum wants to be there with her baby. She's not stepping up, stepping down.
There's not any electrical cords running on the inside for mama to chew on.
Yes, everything's underneath it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully that answers that question to a degree. Okay.
Oh, somebody's dog.
Yeah, loose dog. Raid Frenches. New breeders always discredit brindle. My best bloods have always carried brindle. Love watching your videos. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely a true statement. I think that if you look in the show ring, I would guess probably half the dogs in the show ring are probably brindle, and of course they've got great structure, that's why they're there. So if you want to start a foundation on brindle, and there's nothing wrong with brindle, it's just be aware of the fact that if you've got brindle, that if it's got one copy, it's going to go across to half the puppies. They will show it, and it will not let you show things like tan points.
If you breed a brindle to another brindle,
you get mostly brindles.
All brindles.
Well, if they're both brindle carriers, it'll actually be 75%. If one of them's a double carrier, they'll all be brindles.
Yeah. But they're very pretty.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're high on your tan points, you don't want brindle.
Right. Yeah.
Which that's what our program is tan points.
Yeah, and the thing about brindle is, if you want brindle, you can introduce it really easily because it's a dominant gene. It only takes one copy.
Very.
If you want brindle puppies, not a problem. Just choose a stud who's got brindle, or choose a mum who's got brindle. You can get brindle whether you like it or not.
Oh,
so
I saw a Great Dane the other day.
Oh yeah.
My gosh, he was gorgeous.
Was he tiger striped?
Oh, he was striped all over. He was beautiful.
Which was the Frenchie we had? Was it Tigra?
Tigra.
She was a reverse brindle. This is a long time ago.
She looked like a tiger.
She was a very pretty dog, and she had, and that was before, by the way, that we had options like tan points. So the brindle was not something that we were aware of that would mess us up in the future.
Right.
Tigra's not with us anymore. Well, she would be 20 years old if she was still alive. So she's not going to be alive anymore anyway. But the point here is, well, I've talked enough about brindle.
Yeah.
I have a 5-month-old French bulldog, just barely changed his food and started to have diarrhea. Yeah, well, it happens. So, I mean,
Frenchies are known to have a very, very sensitive tummy. Puppies or adults, they're both the same way. You have to gradually introduce a different food to them if you're switching food.
Yeah, give them some chance to get acclimated to it before you give up on the other food.
Their
and
tummies are way
throw some canned pumpkin in there. That can firm up diarrhea. It's a very safe, easy thing to do. Canned pumpkin can give it some fiber.
You can get probiotics every day. And,
that can help too.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you betcha.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I did another video prior to Thanksgiving about table scraps and what to avoid. But the fact of the matter is, you think that a dog's stomach is cast iron, but the answer is they are relatively cast iron. But you can upset them just with some table scraps. Things that you think are completely innocuous and safe, you can end up with some diarrhea over it. So Tammy's
sick dog.
Tammy's a firm believer. Look, I like to give dogs treats because...
I give them the oatmeal peanut butter treats.
Yeah, you're much smarter about it than I am. So, it's... it's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hard to believe. It's hard to believe. That sun in my face here. How do I get rid of that? Where's the sun? That's over there. Move this around. But yeah, so just, you know, you're not going to cause any disastrous situation. A little bit of diarrhea. I mean, look, I don't know. You know, humans go through bouts of a little bit of diarrhea. You don't do anything about it. It goes away. So.
And the honk at the...
Terminating a pregnancy. We're talking about flashing a dog out with cider. Lilo Moon said, does it matter if it's apple cider vinegar or white? No, it doesn't make a lick of difference. It's all acetic acid. It's all, you know, a couple of percent acetic acid. It makes zero difference at all. This is a good one. Gerald Pugh says, hey James, I keep hearing from breeders. We're talking about breeding. We're talking about what progesterone level to breed at. And he says, I've heard that it's not a specific number to look for, but it's more about looking for the big jump as far as the time to breed. Thoughts? Yes, so it's the problem with progesterone levels is it different dogs are a little bit different in terms of their progesterone levels when they're ready to be bred. But what you will see is a dramatic increase in progesterone about the time that they ovulate. So on most dogs with an IDEX machine, that number would be a 5, which would be about day 9. And then you expect to see it go up about 70% there every day thereafter. So day 9, ovulation, 5. Next day, around an 8 or a 9. Next day, around a 15. Next day, around a 25. So you see this jump in the curve, and that's really the most significant thing. But still look at numbers too. Now, if a dog goes from a 0 to a 3, I wouldn't be breeding that dog. You know, I'd be waiting. I want numbers to be up in the teens at the very least anyway. Here's a good question. Shannon Hart, thank you for being so informative. You're welcome. My question is about fluffy hair type. Is it the hair type that continues to grow and needs to be cut, or is it just longer, short hair type?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
it's about 3 inches on their back
yeah.
legs, you know, their hindquarters, and that's probably the longest part that's going to be there. They'll have some...
Yeah, they can look like they've got hairy pants on, don't they? Where they get
yeah.
these long... So the problem that you can have
feathery
here...
looking, it's really
yeah,
pretty.
it's very pretty. It doesn't get out... there's a couple of things about it. First off, in our experience...
2.5 inches.
Yeah. So in
On
our
the bottom.
experience, these dogs don't shed hair. Like, for instance, Kit...
Ours hasn't. Now, I've heard some people say...
I know, some would say, but we've got a number of long-haired dogs. We've had quite a few of them now, puppies too. And they've not been shedders like a regular Frenchie is. And look, there is a gene test for hair shedding, and certainly we've got a dog, Kit, and she's got little short hairs and it's all over you if you put her on your lap for a few minutes. And I mean, the thing is, she loves being on my lap anyway, and she's on my lap a lot, but when she does, I mean, I've got to take her...
When you bathe the dog, it helps that, or when you brush them, it helps it, but there's just some that lose it.
But the long-haired situation is you don't have to take the dogs to be groomed.
No.
You probably will want to do a little bit of grooming around their back end because they can get a bit...
Especially if it's a mama dog or
Yes.
she's coming into heat. You want to keep that neat, clean,
Yes.
tidy.
So a little bit of trimming up in the back end, but you're going to find that the longest hair is going to be on maybe their ears, maybe around their chest, and around their back end and their
On
tail.
the backs.
Yep. Yep. So, but it's not an increased workload
Where
to
you
look after
have
one of these
to-
dogs.
yeah.
Yep.
It's not like an Afghan.
Yes. Right.
Or a Shih Tzu. Or an Ocelotopsa.
Okay,
like
this is
that.
one day ago from City of Trees. My Frenchie went to a third heat on November the 17th. So 5 days later, November the 22nd, we took her for a vet check. His number was a 0.34. And that, I typically go for my first checkup about day 7, and the number's typically around a 1 at that point. And today, the 27th, we took her again, so that was 5 days later, and she's a 1.41. So that was on the 27th. So here, we're going to play a game here. So it goes up about, once it reaches above a 1, it goes up about 1 point a day. So we're going to call the 27th a 2, the 28th a 3, the 29th a 4, the 30th of 5 ovulation, that dog would expect to be bred 2 days later. So the 2nd of December is about when. Right, so I'm not sure if that's Monday or not. What's the date today, Tammy?
What's today's date?
Is it the 30th? I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know.
But anyway, there you go. All right. Luis Hernandez says, yeah, in my phone, you're talking about my contact information. He's James Bond. He's James Bond in the Frenchy world. Well,
Today's the 27th.
is it? Yeah, so on the other one, I think you're going to be early, by the way. On the other one on Monday. So you better do it. On the previous question, you need to do another progesterone test to find out where you are. You want to be breeding on around 15. In my embark test, DNA on both my male and my female, they both have 1 copy of IVDD, which is this short leg situation. I think a lot of Frenchies, probably 30% of Frenchies, have a copy of IVDD. No, I wouldn't breed those 2 dogs together because you're going to have some dogs that get 2 copies of it. So I would find a dog that doesn't have IVDD. Keep away from it. Sarah Ann, I'll let Tammy answer this one. If a dog shows, this is going to be the last one on this one. If a dog shows bad behavior, food guarding towards other dogs, and just being generally sassy with other dogs, would that make them a bad candidate to be a mum? What do you think, Tammy?
You'd need to definitely watch her
Yep.
when she has puppies. Doesn't necessarily mean she'd be a bad mama.
Nope.
She's probably a very protective mama.
Yep.
But you want to watch her
Yep.
when she has babies. You want to
Would you
sure.
try and work on her food guarding behavior? Because I would, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with food guarding is you can get a fight.
The thing is, the reason why we don't have that problem because we've raised every one of our adults from puppies up, so they're trained to be socialized and not act that way.
Right. So there's some things that you can do to try to avoid this behavior. But the problem with the food guarding is the potential of a fight. This is the problem. So what you're worried about here is the potential of a fight with a puppy, which of course would be a disaster. So I would say number 1 would be to try to work on this food guarding situation with the other dogs. And exactly how you do that, I've never had this problem, so I'm thinking in my head, how would you go about training dogs not to food guard?
Get down on the floor with them, and if they act like they're going to growl a little bit, tell them no.
Okay, good. All right.
And then if they continue and act like they're going to bite somebody, make sure you do a little spat on her face and tell her no.
So I'm going to say it's slightly different than Tammy on this. So, you know, dogs obviously understand when they've done something right and they've done something wrong.
Just like children.
Just like children, and even me. I get in trouble. I know when I got in trouble.
I'll
Tells
whack
me.
him on the head.
So the whacking on the
Thump his
head, we
ear.
don't like too much whacking on the head. I do
No.
like positive reinforcement.
I whack you on the head.
I know you do. I don't like it. So I like positive
Don't whack my
reinforcement too.
dogs on the head. I whack James on
Yeah,
the
she
head.
gets her aggression out of me. Exactly, that's the truth. God, if you could just see what if you know, I've got makeup on, so you can't see all the black eyes I've got right now. There's a black eye right here.
Yeah.
No, there isn't. So what I'm thinking is get down the level like you're suggesting, and then giving her reassurance when she's doing, or he or she, the reassurance of doing the right thing, and maybe at the end of this, when they've done a good job, maybe give them a treat too at the end of it to kind of show them they've done a good job, and they don't get the treat if they're acting shitty. And in fact, if they're acting shitty, I take the food away. So that'd be the negative part. Anyway, but right. So you've tried this. Maybe you've been successful with it. Now you're going to have a litter of puppies. Well, you've got to pay attention to what's going on. What the biggest problem that I have seen with this situation is when the puppies are starting to walk. Everything's fine up until day 10 because they're on mum nursing. They're not going anywhere near a food bowl. But when they start walking and their eyes are open, which is day 10 through day 14, they might start putting their heads over on mum's food bowl.
You need to, if mama acts like she's going to growl the least bit, you get on to her, and if she still does it, you feed her separately away
There you go.
from the babies.
Exactly. So what I would suggest would be, number 1, have a food bowl that's got a hard enough lip on it so puppies can't even get in it. That's the first thing. And the second thing is if there is a problem with this, don't leave the food in there with mum. Take mum out to feed them, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, and finally, if you have some aberrant behavior, you've got two choices. You take the puppies away from mum and you raise them by hand, which is a lot of work. Better have our incubator if you're going to do that. Better yet would be to put a muzzle on mum. And if it's a Frenchie with a flat face, you can buy a regular muzzle, cut the front part out, put some wire ties on it so she can still get
Well, a pair of pantyhose, leg off the
okay,
pantyhose.
there you go. That's a good idea of Tammy's. It's a pantyhose.
Yeah.
You put a pantyhose, and it stops them opening their mouth very much. They can still open their mouth, but they can't open their mouth very much, right?
When I groom dogs, I would use a pair of pantyhose.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they can still get their tongue out, couldn't they?
Oh, yeah.
So they can still drink some water. They just can't get their mouth open a lot to be able to bite something like you in a hurry.
Right.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So there we go. Yeah.
Well, the damage to a puppy is Mama pushing her face down there and hitting them with her face, her head, whatever.
Yeah.
You need to just keep an eye out.
So I think the biggest time that we see this, by the way, I was saying, you know, I said I haven't seen any dogs. I have seen dogs occasionally, new time mums, who can get they're disorientated when they first come home from a C-section. They've got anesthesia on board. They're groggy. They don't know what's going on. That is the most sensitive time when dogs can do what you don't want them to do. They can be rough puppies. So introduction to puppies while you're there on the horsey thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
On a gradual basis over a few hours to make sure that it's all copacetic before you leave mum and puppies together without your attention. All right, that's 16 minutes.
I mean, we have our babies, you know, in the kitchen, down a hallway where we can hear them at our bedroom door, but in the kitchen is where we are the main time, and I can hear them.
So our new babies.
Chanel puts a camera in hers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our new babies are always visually where we can see them in the kitchen.
And hear them. Yeah.
And they're audibly where we can hear them when we go to bed at night, which is a door open so that we can hear if there's anything going on.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, these days cameras, you can buy a pretty decent camera for $35-40 on Amazon, wireless camera, and that's what Chanel does, and it's a good idea too. That way, yeah. So there we go. There's 17 minutes of your time taken up. Sorry. Bye, everybody. Say goodbye, Tammy.
Bye.
Watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.